Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf and to another book haul. Yes, I took the book haul blouse out of the closet, even though I wore the book haul blouse for the tops and flops a week ago. I don't care. It's the book haul blouse, so I'm gonna wear it. And I bought some books. I'm not gonna haul all the books I bought because I already bought some nonfiction books that I want to read for Nonfiction November. And I will do a book haul or TBR video when we are more, end of October. And the first, and I also bought books that I talked about quite a bit for Victober. So I'm not gonna really say a lot. I will leave a link to my Victober TBR video where I introduce the books in more depth. But the first one is this, Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, first published in 1862. And I'm reading this. I had never read this author, but she writes what is called sensational novels, and it's all about a young lady just married and her secrets. I bought this. Oh yeah, and I'm reading this. We start today. Tomorrow. We start tomorrow on the 11th of October. I'm buddy reading this with Kim from Middle of the Book Munch, who is slowly recovering. Kim, keep up the recovery, and I hope you feel really just, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed soon enough. Anyway, so this is my buddy read. Then the next one I also had on my TBR is a nonfiction work for Mary Seacole, Wonderful Adventures of Mrs. Seacole in Many Lands, first published in 1857. Miss Seacole was a Jamaican-born, free-born Black woman who was a nurse in the Crimean War, and she traveled a lot, Adventures of Mrs. Seacole in Many Lands. I had never heard of her, never heard of this book, but I'm a member of Mel's book club, Read Around the World book club. You will find a link also down below, and she picked this specifically for Victober. So that's what I bought for Victober. And the next one is this, also nonfiction, Sempre Susan, a memoir of Susan Sontag by Sigrid Nunes, first published in 2011. And I already talked about this book 2 days ago in my Friday reads. I wrapped it up. Sigrid Nunes met Susan Sontag when Nunes was dating Sontag's son, and she moved in with the two. And this very slim little memoir is about her impression of Susan Sontag. I liked it, so I already read this one. Okay, now on to the books that are actually book hauls, books that I haven't talked about a million times before. First book of the real book haul is actually a book that I might not read right away, and that is Edith Wharton, Ethan Frome, or Froome. I always thought it was Frome, and I checked on, the audiobook says Frome, but I came across a couple of videos with reviewers who are supposed to, not BookTube people, because we don't know what we're talking about, professional reviewers, and one of them said Froome. So I don't know. I stick with Frome because that seems to be the majority of people, how they pronounce it. Anyway, this book was published in 1911, and of course, Edith Wharton, she doesn't need an introduction, one of the big early 20th century authors. I love her work, Age of Innocence, House of Mirth. And this is a shorty because it's under 100 pages, and if I don't read it in the next couple of weeks because I can't help myself, I will probably just keep it for next August. And if you are not have no idea what I'm talking about because you're not watching every video. In August, I always do a challenge for myself, 30 books in 30 days. And the only way to achieve that is that I incorporate short books, like 100, 120 pages. And when I come across a book that I really want to read, and it's 100 pages or 110 pages, I buy it and then I keep it for this challenge in August. So this would be a perfect book, but I don't know whether I can keep myself from. Maybe I should tell you what the book is about, right? It's a love triangle. between Ethan Frome and his wife and the cousin that comes to live with them on a farm. I don't know more than that. I don't need to know more than that. It's Edith Wharton. So yeah, either, I don't know whether I can keep this until next August. Probably not. Probably not. The next book I bought is for my In Real Life book club, which will meet on the 15th of October, which is a week from now, so I better get started on the book. And that book is Anne Petrie, The Street, first published in 1946. And I specifically looked for this edition because I think it's beautiful. Anne Petrie was a Black American author. She died in 1997. And if I remember correctly, this book, The Street, was one of the first books written by a Black female author who actually was an immense bestseller and sold more than 1 million copies. It is a book about a young Black woman in the 1940s living in Harlem and her life, trying to make something of her life, but it's not easy. And I'm not sure whether I read this book in German a long time ago, or I heard a lot of the book, I don't know, but I remember that it's not cheerful. So it's not a woman who makes it and then goes to Wall Street and becomes a millionaire. No, it's more heartbreaking than that. But I'm really looking forward to that, to this, and will tell you more about it once I read it and once we have the discussion with the book club. And then the next 3, I blame Hannah from Hannah's Books. I will leave a link to her channel down below, because I already talked about my 30 books in 30 days challenge, and I made a video about short books, a recommendation video on short books. And then Steve, as Steve does, he weaponized my video and made a tag out of it, which was a brilliant idea. So more people made videos about very short books that they really liked. And one of the videos was Hannah's video. And she talked about one of those 3, and then I bought 3. For good measure. So the book she actually talked about was by Eudora Welty, her memoir on writing, One Writer's Beginnings. And being a writer myself, I thought this was, it immediately spoke to me, and it's a slim little one. Eudora Welty is actually a contemporary of Anne Petrie, and she was born beginning of the 20th century and died beginning of the 21st century in 2001. And confession time. I have never read Eudora Welty, ever. I knew her as a photographer. I thought she was a photographer. Full stop. Nothing more. I mean, not that it's anything wrong with being a photographer, but I had no idea until I joined BookTube, and then I heard people talk about her and about her books, and then I sort of kept her in my mind, but was never really urged to read her until Hannah's video. And then I bought this one, published in 1983. And because I couldn't just buy one, I also bought a novel by Eudora Welty, The Optimist's Daughter, and I forgot the publication year, 1972. And this is about a judge who is an upstanding member of society, and then his wife dies, and he marries a frivolous young woman. That's what it's about. Sounds fascinating, but Eudora Welty is most famous for her short stories. So I bought this chunkster of her collected stories, recipient of the National Book Award. The award makes me, I'm not going to talk about awards. I mean, Nobel Prizes, like 9 recipients, 1 woman, a joint Nobel Peace Prize winner, a journalist, perfect, but none of the science prizes had a woman, none. And there were 7 recipients. And the 8th, of course, was the Nobel Prize in Literature, also a man. No. I'm not going to talk about that. And certainly not about the National Book Award with finalists, 5 finalists and 1 woman. Maybe I'm just cutting this out of the cover. Anyway, I bought her collected short stories. Sean hated them. He had to DNF them. He was as surprised as anybody, but I already had decided that I'm just too interested. And if it's not for me, because Sean and I agree often, but not always. And in this instance, I really, really hope that we disagree and that these stories will be for me. But that is my thanks to Hannah Eudora Welty splurge kind of thing. And again, like I said with Ethan Frome, I'm not sure whether I will keep these two for next August. Might, but might not. We'll see. And the last two, fiction, also more or less cover buys. More or less. I mean, yeah, well, that's not entirely true. Not only cover buys, but the cover attracted me. The first one is a short story collection, translated fiction, Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung, translated from the Korean by Anton Her. Anton, maybe it's her, maybe it's her. I forgot to ask you, and I'm really, really sorry. To make up for it, I will leave your Twitter handle down below, because if you're interested in translated work, if you're interested in translators, please follow him on Twitter. He's a fantastic Twitterer and a fantastic translator. Anyway, so this is a Korean novelist. I had never heard of her. I think that's the first of her work that is translated into English. She is also a translator herself from Russian, but that was not why I picked the book. I picked the book because of the cover. I thought it's hilarious, because of the translator, because I don't know the author, but also because it's marketed as really weird short stories, and I'm all in for the weird. And if you follow my channel, you know that I'm trying to read more short stories, because that is a genre, if you can call it that, that I'm really lacking in terms of what I have read in short stories. And I'm doing pretty well this year with short story collections that I read. And so this one, when I saw the blurb somewhere or on Twitter, maybe even Anton, that he tweeted about it and that it's so weird, I thought, this is a book for me. So, Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung. And the next one was also kind of a cover buy, but I had marked it as to read when it came out in 2018, and with a different cover that I also really liked. And that is Ponty by Charlene Teo. First published in 2018. It's a debut novel. Charlene Teo is a Singaporean writer, but it is her first novel, but she published short stories and also nonfiction before. And the novel is set in Singapore and follows, opens in 2003 when the main protagonist, a woman called Cersei, is 16 years old, struggling, coming of age, and then we move forward 17 years when the woman is in her 30s. I haven't read many Singaporean authors. That was a reason that I wanted to pick this up. Book set in Singapore and certainly by a Singaporean female writer. And the story sounded interesting enough for me, at least to give it a try. And as you know, if you follow my channel, I always try to find new authors, read debuts. And I think I forgot to mention the Korean author. I said there's nothing else in English. Yeah, because it's her debut collection. Duh. Anyway, so 2 debuts that I will try out. Hopefully they are good. You never know with debuts, but then again, that's the whole point, isn't it, in trying to find new authors. Anyway, this was my October book haul so far, because like I said, there will be lots and lots of nonfiction when we head into Nonfiction November. But for now, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I'm looking forward to your comments, and I'll see you all soon in the next one.